our regular sit down with the governor, talk to the governor, and Governor Katie Hobbs joins us in studio right now. Thank you for having us, but Governor Hobbs, we've got some questions today.
All right.
I think we've got to go over DCS.
Yeah.
Let's do a little bit of the backstory because, listen, we're all sitting here horrified about this story. There was a 10-year-old little girl, and she was tortured, and she was murdered. And, you know, Bruce and I have sat here for the last couple of weeks. We've been in contact with the uncle of the little girl. So we find out that DCS was called at least 12 times by the school, and they didn't call back. 5 times the Phoenix Police Department called, said there's something going on here. The uncle called. So we have over 20 calls that went into DCS. Is DCS broken?
What I can say, first of all, this is a tragic situation that shouldn't have happened. And the state has the ultimate responsibility for protecting children. And we are doing a thorough review of the circumstances of this situation to be able to look at where the system may have failed. Were there systemic failures? Were there statutory limitations that restricted our ability to respond? And anytime a tragedy like this happens, we have to look at what could we have done better and respond to that. And so, you know, we have to take this opportunity to look at, are there statutory changes we should be making so that we can more effectively respond in a situation like this? Was there something internal that went wrong? And I guarantee you, if that is what we find, we will fix that. And we have to do everything we can to keep kids safe.
So am I looking at this in too much of a simple way? They didn't answer the phone. Like, they didn't get a message. Like, I don't know if they saw the 12 messages. Well, you had the 5 from the Phoenix Police. Then you had 17, and then you got the uncle calling and the SRO officer. Like, 20-plus calls. And, like, none of them were either heard, none of them were returned.
Acted on.
Nothing. So it's like, do the phones not work over there? Like, maybe it's too simplistic, but I'm like, answer the phone. Like, answer the phone, and if someone is saying a kid is getting tortured, get your rear end out there. Not you, Governor, of course. DCS, why aren't you out there? And here's another thing. Did they go to the house ever? Do you know if they ever actually went out to the home? Because I don't have that answer. Do you?
No, and look, we're in the middle of this investigation, and so I can't speak to specifics. I don't know all the answers. We're looking for the answers. We're going to have the answers, and we're going to respond. And I understand your frustration. We should all be frustrated when something like this happens, and I take our responsibility very seriously, and we will do everything we can to fix this if we failed.
Well, I hope you can understand that I think the concern moving forward is, are there other children in similar situations?
Absolutely.
Where there have been multiple red flags waved, why there are schools, police have said there's a child in danger and the system in some way, shape, or form isn't working. That's my worry. I don't want to have this story next week of another kid. No. How quickly can we expect some sort of answers from this?
No, And I don't know the answer to that. I know the review is ongoing right now as we speak. And
who does that review?
Well, it's internal, but we my administration is on top of this, asking for updates constantly.
The head of the Arizona Department of Child Safety, you hired her, Catherine Patak. Did I get her last name right?
Yes.
Okay. So you appointed her in January of 2025. Like, when I look at, does she hold like any responsibility in a situation like this? Because some of this happened before you appointed her.
Years before. This has been going on for years. Yes.
So does she deserve to be fired? Does she deserve to be looked at? Or are you talking with her? Is there something that she did wrong in this situation? Even though she just got the job earlier this year?
Look, you're asking for specifics, specific answers that we don't have yet. I promise you, and I promise the listeners, that we are looking into this situation. We want the answers as much as everyone else does. We're going to get those answers. And if there was someone at the agency that was responsible, they will be held accountable.
Okay.
We're speaking with Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs. Why don't we move to ICE?
Okay.
So there has been ICE activity around Valley schools.
Yes.
And so for me, I think this is the first time I'm seeing this. We've seen it a little bit around churches in the Valley and elsewhere, but now we're talking about ICE near schools. I don't know exactly who they've picked up off the street, or do you have any information if it was a child that was walking to school? We saw that parents and guardians who were walking their children to school, maybe a parent or a guardian was escorted. Do you have any information on that?
So it's my understanding from recent reporting that there was a child who was being walked to school by two adults who were picked up. And when they were picked up, the ICE agent was who continued walking the child to school. Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine the trauma that child experienced in that situation, how they sat through the rest of the day in their classroom. And look, this is what the president said when he was running, is that he would go after criminals, that he would deport people that were dangerous, that were making us unsafe. This is not that. I don't know who these people were. I don't know why they were picked up, but picking up adults while they're walking kids to school doesn't make anyone safer. In fact, it probably creates more danger. Now kids are going to be walking to school alone or not going to school. This is not making us safer. And the administration should be focused on actions that make us safer and that make our community safer. This is not that.
Governor Hobbs, along those same lines, there is been talk of plans of some sort of detention center down in Marana, north of Tucson, south of here. I've heard different stories about this. Can you help me understand it? The way I heard it is it was I'm going to use the term abandoned or not being used facility that the state is going to sell to the organization, private prison company that's running Alligator Alcatraz.
So let me be clear. The state is not going into the federal detention business. I want to be very clear about that. The state has not been approached by Secretary Noem, by the Trump administration about going into the federal detention business with them. And so everything we're hearing really is speculation. There was a prison facility in Marana that was not being utilized, that was underutilized. We were able to close that prison. And it was an empty building that the state was paying to maintain, that was costing taxpayers. And we sold, that building has been sold. It was, I think, the best, most responsible decision for taxpayers to save them money and to actually bring revenue into the general fund. It was an open bidding process, and we made $15 million on that sale. So it is in the hands of the buyer, and it is up to the buyer what they do. And I don't know what the plans are with that facility. What
if you find out they're going to do something similar? They're going to name it something
stupid. Well,
like an Alligator Alcatraz, I don't know. I don't know what they would name it here. I don't even want to speculate. You find out they're going to do something like they are in Florida. What do you do as the governor? Look, can you do anything?
No, the federal government can operate what they want to in a federal building or with a private contractor.
Yeah.
And they've done that in other states. I think the Florida facility is being run by Florida. We're not doing that, but they can enter into those agreements if they want to. We're not entering into that agreement with them, which is, I think, one of the things they're looking for in these detention facilities.
All right. Governor Hobbs joining us right now. Talk to the governor. We get her in here every couple of weeks, get to ask her some questions. Your potential running mate, not running mate, opponent in the upcoming election.
I don't think she's running with Biggs.
No, Andy Biggs was on a podcast here, our Arizona Politics podcast with Jim Sharp from Arizona's Morning News, and he had this to say.
Yeah, let's play a couple clips. This is Andy Biggs talking about, I believe, the vetoes.
Okay.
Okay.
By the way, those 200 and some odd vetoes that Governor Hobbs has done, we're going to be going through those bills and pulling out some pretty impressive bills and put together an agenda that we can move in January 2027.
So he's going to look at some of the bills that landed on your desk, and you took the red pen and you vetoed. I mean, I'm guessing you think that's dangerous for Arizona. I'm sure there are a couple of bills that are on your mind, like, yeah, if I wasn't here, Biggs would have put that through. Mm-hmm. Is there one bill that you're like, yeah, he would have put it through, but not me? One specific one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole list of them, almost all of those. Look, I've been very clear. I didn't come here to veto bills. I came here to get stuff done, to solve challenges we're facing, and we've done that. I was able to sign a lot of legislation this year that addresses big challenges we're facing as a state and proven time and again what we can get done when we're willing to sit down and work together. But I also was very clear that I will be a backstop when it's necessary. And when I see legislation that attacks our freedoms, that tries to strip away the ability to vote by mail, which most Arizonans participate in, that takes away restricts reproductive health care, and harms Arizonans, I'm going to veto that. And Republicans who might want to paint me as obstructionist continue to send the same bills. I vetoed multiple bills multiple times. But I'm going to continue to work with anyone to tackle the tough challenges we're facing and get things done.
Andy Biggs with Jim Sharp on Arizona's a Political Podcast. Here's a little more. He says he knows how to do your job.
As the Senate president, I know how it works. That's really different than probably even the current governors. I know how it works.
All right, so that was the governor. Well, go ahead.
I wasn't expecting that.
I was going to play a little bit more.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Let's stop here.
Go ahead, Governor.
Look, being the Senate president is very, very different than being the governor, than being the executive. As I've said many times, I am really happy to put my record of getting things done for Arizonans against his. He, when he was the Senate president, he stood in the way and tried to block Medicaid expansion. When we did that, which is still the proudest thing I've ever voted for as a legislator, provided health care to hundreds of thousands of Arizonans, and he just in Congress voted to strip that health care away, not just from Arizonans, but millions of Americans. And so I want to know how he, as governor, would address the needs that we're going to face as a state because of those cuts to Medicaid, those rural hospitals that are going to close, and communities across the state that won't have access to health care. Tell me how he does that job. That's what I want to hear from him.
Why do you think he's running?
You'd have to ask him. I have
what do you
no
think,
idea. I don't know. He's tired of going. I wouldn't want to keep going to Congress, but
not much going on.
No, they don't get anything done, do they?
I think in the Trump years, I mean, even if people support Donald Trump, there's not much need for a Congress.
No.
They didn't need the Congress to make the border better. The border is much better. I mean, you would agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Under Donald Trump, the border is much better. But yeah, I just wonder why he is running. But
you will have to ask him.
We'll have to ask him.
Governor Hobbs, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Governor.
Hope you'll be back in a couple weeks, let's say. Yeah. We'll book it. Talk to the governor.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.